They say the mind plays tricks in the dark, but what if the trick isn't in your mind? What if the darkness itself remembers you? It was 4:30 in the morning when I found myself on that godforsaken back road, driving home from a friend's wedding. The laughter, the clinking glasses, the blurred faces, they all felt like someone else's memories now, dissolving in the fog behind me. The only thing that mattered in that moment was the burning urgency in my stomach and the painful pressure of too much coffee fighting its way out. The road was deserted, not a single car, not a single light. My phone, glowing dimly in the passenger seat, had lost signal 2 towns ago. It felt like the world had shrunk to the narrow tunnel of my headlights, and I was the only living soul moving through it. I remember glancing at the fuel gauge, though I had no reason to. Half tank, enough to get home, but my body wouldn't let me think of anything except the desperate need for a bathroom. Then through the mist ahead, I saw it, a faint orange glow. My first thought was that it couldn't be real. But as I drove closer, the words began to take shape. 24-hour service, blinking weakly against the night sky. Relief hit me like a wave. I almost laughed. Civilization, a place that still existed. The gas station stood alone, small and boxy, with its cracked sign swaying on a rusted pole. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, painting the concrete in a sickly white. There was another car near the pumps, an old sedan coated in a thin layer of dust. The kind of dust that doesn't settle overnight. I pulled in beside it, turned off my engine, and let the silence press down. For a moment, I hesitated. The air felt wrong, too still, too stale, but the coffee had made its final demand, and I didn't have a choice. Inside, the store looked frozen in time. Rows of snacks, canned drinks, and dusty motor oil lined the narrow aisles. Everything was illuminated, yet it felt lifeless. The hum of the coolers, the faint ring of a ceiling fan, sounds that should have been there were missing. Behind the counter sat an old man, thin as bone, with skin like crumpled paper. If you're still here with us, a simple like on this video would mean the world. It truly helps us keep going. He didn't look up when I entered. His eyes stayed on the newspaper spread in front of him, though the pages were blank. I cleared my throat. Hey, restroom? No answer. He slowly raised one hand and pointed toward the back of the store, a long, dim corridor ending in a pale green door. Thanks, I muttered, though the word felt swallowed by the quiet. The hallway smelled faintly of oil and something medicinal, like the memory of bleach. I opened the restroom door and stepped inside. It was surprisingly clean. Too clean. White tiles, spotless mirror, old-fashioned sink, and a toilet that looked freshly scrubbed. There was a bar of soap, not liquid, but a solid one, resting neatly on the sink. I remember thinking how strange that was in a place like this. I turned on the tap. The water ran clear, cold, and steady. I splashed my face, letting the chill jolt me awake. Then I realized something I couldn't hear anything outside. No hum of lights, no sound of the door creaking behind me. Nothing. I finished, feeling a strange unease creep beneath my skin. When I turned the handle to leave, it wouldn't move. Locked, I twisted it harder. Nothing. My chest tightened. "Hey!" I shouted, banging the door with my palm. "Hey, can you open this?" The silence stretched for several seconds, then a voice answered, calm, flat, too close to the door. "Just a moment," it said. "The shift is almost over." I froze. The tone was wrong. Too slow, too deliberate, as if the words weren't meant to comfort, but to hold me still. I stepped back, heart pounding in my ears. I don't know how long I stood there, seconds, minutes, maybe hours. Time felt thick, syrupy. The air grew heavy, and I began to hear things that might not have been there. Faint tapping, whispering through the pipes, the sound of distant footsteps that never came closer. When the lock finally clicked open, the sound was almost deafening. I threw the door wide and stumbled out, only to find the store changed. The lights had dimmed to a weak yellow glow. The shelves were coated in thick dust. The coolers were empty, doors fogged and cracked. Even the candy wrappers looked discolored, their colors drained. "Hello?" I called out, voice trembling. No answer. The counter was empty. The old man was gone. Something pulled my attention to the window. Outside, the other car, the dusty sedan, was now nothing but a rusted skeleton. The air shimmered around it, heavy and stale. I ran for the exit, pushing the glass door open. It resisted, groaning as if it hadn't moved in years. The night air hit me like a wave of decay, cold, dry, and filled with the faint scent of ash. My car sat by the pumps, but it wasn't the same. Dust clung to its windows. Dead leaves had gathered in the windshield wipers. For one sickening moment, I thought it might crumble if I touched it. I fumbled with the keys, hands shaking, and got inside. The seat felt wrong, rough, stiff, like it had aged decades overnight. I started the engine. It sputtered, coughed, then came to life with a sound that felt too loud, too real. As I reversed, I glanced up at the station one last time. The old 24-hour sign flickered erratically, the letters pulsing like a dying heartbeat. Then, as I hit the road and my tires spat gravel behind me, the sign went out. All of it, the lights, the glow, the faint hum of existence vanished. The road swallowed it whole. For a moment, I thought I'd gone insane. Maybe I'd fallen asleep at the wheel. Maybe I'd imagined it all. But as the dawn began to break, I reached a truck stop filled with real people, drivers, laughter, the smell of food and diesel. I parked, sat there, hands gripping the wheel. The clock read 6:47 a.m., but something was off. The odometer had added miles I couldn't explain, hundreds of them. My coffee cup, once half full, was bone dry. I told myself I'd just lost time, that my mind had cracked under exhaustion. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, I thought I saw a flicker, a faint orange glow far behind me, deep in the fog. For months after, I couldn't drive alone at night. Every gas station, every convenience store, they all looked the same. The same humming lights, the same blank faces, the same shadows that seemed to shift when I wasn't looking. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I hear it again, that slow, flat voice just behind the door. Just a moment. The shift is almost over. But it never is. Because I think the shift never ended. I just escaped before mine began. And now every time I drive through the night and see a faint light ahead, I wonder if I stop again, will I find that same station waiting for me? Or worse, was it never waiting for me at all, but watching, somewhere in the distance, its lights flickering back on for the next traveler who can't hold it any longer. So I keep driving as fast as I can. But no matter how many roads I take, I can't shake the feeling that it's still out there, that somewhere, buried in the dark, the attendant is still standing behind the counter, newspaper in hand, head bowed, waiting for the next door to lock. And maybe one night, when I'm too tired to care, I'll stop again, and this time, the shift will be mine.